0. Good. Okay. So the next topic is you can use the RIX program. I think you can still download this. Just play with this, but I don't think you really need to. Okay. And another thing. This next topic is what? Convert decimal number to what? Decimal number to a binary number. Okay. So this is a little bit harder. Okay. This is a tiny bit harder. So let's just so I'm going to follow this method. And by the way, just like I said, if you Google search, you can find like tons of different ways to convert decimal number to binary. Okay, so you don't have to really follow my way, right? So, but I'll show my way anyway. So let's just take a look at the next example, right? Okay. So for example, right, I'm going to basically follow the example shown in the lecture slide. So let's say we have a 172, right? 172. And then, your homework in the homework assignment, I'm going to ask you to convert this 172 to what? 8-bit binary number. Right? 8-bit binary number. So that's then there are then, right? Remember that we have what? We have 128 and 64, 32, right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? The first one is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, right? So first, so you know that this is like all the numbers that I used, right, previously. So I still need to use this for the 175, right? Let's say 175. Among these 8 numbers, I select the maximum number. So I can choose. Of course, number that is what? It's close to 172. So the 122 is probably the maximum, like the highest number, right? Basically, all 8 numbers are less than 172. So theoretically, I can choose all of them, but I said you have to choose the highest number, right? So among 8 numbers, is 128 is greater than 172? Yes. And of course, 64 is less than 172. So I can choose both 172 and 64, but you have to choose the one like that is like highest. So 172, right? I'm going to choose 172, right? So 172 minus 128, right? So you have to use, this time you have to use minus, okay? So you subtract 122 from 172. So what is it? 8, so this is 4, and then 6 minus 2, so you have a 44. Right? So you have a 44, right? And then now you look at this number 44, and then among these 8 numbers, right? You can choose what? The 64 is greater than 44, and 128 is greater than 44. So I cannot choose 128, right? I cannot choose 64. Then I'm going to move the next one. Yes, 32 is less than 44. Yes, so I'm going to choose 32. Of course, I can use a 16 because 16 is less than 44. But I said you have to choose the one that's like, the highest among all the options available. So I'm going to choose 32. And then minus, right? Subtraction, right? So I need to subtract 32 from 44. So what is my answer? 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is what? 2, right? And then 4 minus 3 is 1. So you have 12, right? Okay, now you look at the 12. Which number I can use? I cannot use a 32 because 32 is greater than 12. 16, can I use a 16? No, because 16 is greater than 12. Can I use 8? Yes, because 8 is less than 12. So I'm going to choose 8, right? And then subtract, and I got 4, right? So I get 4. Okay, now which number I can choose? I cannot choose 8 because 8 is obviously is greater than 4. Yes, I can choose 4, right? Which is equal, so I'll choose 4, right? And then what? And then the minus, right? Finally I got what? 0. So if I got the 0, that means I'm done. Okay, I'm done. So basically, now the next step is I use 128, right? I use a 128, so I use 128, and then I use what? 32, right? I use a 32, and then I use what? I use 8, right? I use the 8, and then I use what? I use a 4, right? Then the rest of them I just fill with a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So what is my final answer? If I convert 172 to 8-bit binary number, my final answer is 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. So 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay? So that's the final answer. Okay? So any question? Okay, any question? Good. So let's just go over with one more example, right? Let's see. Okay, you know what? Let's just go over 2 more examples. So let's just talk about 255. Okay, I know that some of you, I think I don't know who asked this question, but the 255, right? Let's just convert 255 to what? Binary number, right? So we know that it's let's just write it down. The number 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, right? Okay, the first, always starting with the highest number. So 255, so 128, I can use 128, right? Because 128 is less than 255. So I can use it, right? No problem. So I can use this 128, right? So 250 minus 128, right? So what is the value? 5, 8, so you have a 7, and then 2, right? And then 120, is that right? 5, 7, right? And then 4, 2, and then what? You have 127, right? Okay, now, which number that I can use? I cannot use 128 because 128 is greater than 127. So next number that I can use is 64, right? Because 64 is obviously less than 127, right? So I can use 64. So I use 64. And then subtract. 7 minus 4 is what? 3, right? And then 2 is a 63, right? And then for the 63, I can use which number? I cannot use a 64 because 64 is greater than 63, so I cannot use this anymore. Now I can use a 32, right? So I use a 32. So whenever I use a number, I have to say I use this number. It's 1, right? And then this is 1. Oops, sorry, it should be black. It's a 1, right? And then 6 minus 3 is what? 31, right? And then, so 31, so which number I can use? I can use a 16. So the minus 16, right? And then what? Once this is 5, and then it's 15, right? So it's just etc. So basically, if you use, I mean, okay, let's just finish. Okay, the 16, right? 15. So you can use 8, right? Is that right? Yeah, 15. So now you can use 8, right? So you can use 8. So it's minus 8, and then what? You have what? 7, right? Good. And since I use the 8. And since I use the 8, right? I use a 16, I use a 32, and I use a 64, and I use 128. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 so far, right? So 7, right? I can use 4 because 8 is greater than 7, so I cannot use 8. So 4, I can use still 2, but I said 4 is at this point among the 3 options. The 4 is the highest number, right? So I have to use 4. I can use a 4. And then I have what? 3, right? And then since I use this 4, right, I have to say 1. Right? Now I have a 3. Now I cannot use a 4 because 4 is greater than 3, so I can use either 2 or 1, but I can use a 2, right? Because 2 is highest. And then 2, then minus, and what is it? 1, right? And then finally I can use this one. So basically I use a 2. And I use a 2. Then, okay. And then finally I have 1 left, right? So I can use this one. I don't have any other option, right? So I'm going to use 1 minus 1. And then what? Finally I got 0, right? So finally I got 0. So that means what? I'm done. Right? And since I used the 1, right? Okay. So I'm done, right? So if you convert 255 to a binary number, you have what? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So that's why this is like, if everything is like, if it's 1, 1, 1, 1, right? In the 8-bit binary number, so 255 is the decimal number, right? So this is like maximum number, right? If you have an 8-bit binary number, you cannot have any decimal number greater than 255, and 255 is a max. Okay, so any question? Okay, so let's just go through like one more example, right? Then I'm done. Let's just this time what? Okay, let's say do 192. You know what? For the 192, let's just do 192. Let's say we have 192, right? So 192. Then in your homework assignment, if I ask you to convert 192 to what? A binary number, right? And same thing, you have to do what? 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, right? Okay, so for 192, yes, I can use 128, right? You know what? Okay, I can use 128, right? So then I can use 128 because 120 is less than 192. So 192 minus 128, right? Which is what? 4 and then 64, right? And then I can use 64 right there. So let's see, first I use 128. I use a 128, right? So it's 1. And then I use a 60, so now I can use a 64, right? So minus 64. that's the 0, right? So that means I'm done, right? But I use a 64, so it's a 1 here, and then I'm done, right? So I fill zeros now for the rest of the bits. So my answer is what? My answer is 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay. By the way, on purpose, right? On purpose, I chose this decimal 192, this decimal number, because this 1100. Okay, so 192. I want later on, right? I think you're gonna, not for your homework assignment, but I want you to memorize this. I mean, especially if you plan to take the Cisco CCNA, like a Network Plus exam. So 192 is a number that we're gonna use frequently, right? So I want you to memorize. Of course, during the test, you can always use this to convert 192 to the binary number, right? But the problem is it will take some time, and then you can make a mistake, right? And then the 192 will be used frequently. So it's better for you to memorize, okay, these two numbers. So 192 means what? 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, so I want you to memorize this one. And then actually for 128, what is it? 1 0 0 0. Okay, so I want you to also memorize this. Of course, you can use this during the test, but trust me, you can because of the pressure, right? Sometimes you can make a mistake, right? So there's a couple of more numbers I want you to memorize, but let's talk about that in next week. Okay? And another thing, this is probably the last example. If I give you some number, let's say 16, okay? Let's just choose some easy example. So let's say the 16 is given in your homework assignment. Then I ask you to convert this to the 8-bit binary number. Then that 16 is right there, right? So you know that it's easily, you can find the answer, right? Which is 0001 0001, because 16 is right there. Then the rest of them is a 0, right? So this is your answer. So when I say 8-bit binary number, please include in your answer, please include the 0, right? The first, some people say, okay, if I give you 16, right? Some people will say just 1 0 0 0 0. Please don't do this. Okay? I want leading 0 in your answer. Okay? So any question? Okay. Then let me stop my lecture here. Let's take a 1 or 2 minute break. Let me first stop my lecture.